All right, we're ready to continue on with Texas A&M. We're going to go straight to questions first with the two student athletes, and then we'll excuse them back to the locker room, and then we'll come back to Coach with question and answer. Reminder, the remote mics, when you raise your hand, please identify yourself and the media outlet that you represent. And another reminder, no video permitted in this room. If you need video, you can get it next door in the broadcast center. So let's begin with hands up for any questions for either of the student athletes. Okay, start on the left in the front row.
Travis Brown with KBTX. Wade, in the towards the end of the game and overtime, how important was it when y'all got into the bonus to get the line and get those free throws? Because it seemed like that's just where kind of y'all's rhythm was in this game.
That question was for
Wade.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's kind of how we want to go about our offense throughout the whole game. You know, we want to go to the free throw line and try to get free throw makes. So we just want to continue to attack downhill and try to get to the free throw line.
Okay, next question on the front row. Do you have it? Go ahead.
Tony Catalina from Austin American Statement to Henry. Henry, you had spoken this week about how if you ain't ready to play, like, don't get on the plane. Obviously, there's no moral victories in this, but how do you feel about your team's, effort today?
I thought we competed on both ends of the floor. I thought every single person in that locker room, coaches, managers, players, were all 10 toes, and they wanted to be in the fight. And I think, we fought in the middle of the ring the entire time. I don't think anybody backed down. So I'm proud of everybody in the locker room.
Okay, next question on the right, second row.
Ian Curtis of the Battalion. Question for Wade. Not the way you wanted your last SEC tournament to end, but believe setting the record for all-time SEC tournament leading scorer, just adding that to the list, kind of looking back on the SEC tournaments you've been in over the years, kind of what does that mean to you, especially going into, your last NCAA tournament?
Yeah, we've had a lot of great memories here in the SEC tournament. If it was here in Tampa my freshman year, we've been blessed to be here. We've had a lot of success here. I'm thankful for my teammates and my coaches, because without them I wouldn't be able to achieve that honor. But I'm just thankful to be here. Thankful we got another day to wake up and we're still able to play. So I'm excited for that.
Next question, third row on the right.
Teresa Walker, the Associated Press. Wade, with that experience in this tournament, you guys are probably best positioned to see how this league has toughened and gotten tougher. This year, maybe 14 teams go to the NCAA tournament. How much, can you pin it on one thing, and how much fun, or is it just a meat grinder when the level play is this good across the board?
It's great. I feel like the competition builds us for what's coming. Every night, no matter who you're playing, if it's on the road, if it's at home, if it's neutral site, every team's gonna give you their best punch. And it's exciting. You want that. You grow up as a kid dreaming to play against the best. And over the years, the SEC has turned into one of the best conferences. So we're excited to play tonight. We've been excited to play all year. And we're just gonna continue that excitement and wanting to play for one another.
Next question on the front row on the left.
Travis Brown, KBTX. Henry, does it ever surprise you the ways that Wade's able to draw a foul or get into a play? And is there any today that stood out that impressed you?
No, not really. He has a super high basketball IQ, and I know he watches a ton of film and he studies things, players, plays, the opposing defense, and so I'm not shocked at all.
I think that next question, second row on the right. Go ahead.
Question for Henry. Out-rebounded in the first half, but really turning the corner in the second half in overtime and out-rebounding Texas. Kind of what changed there? And then down the stretch, kind of what was that physicality, that rebounding battle like?
I would say just our mentality. I thought, all game I thought we were physical, but, you're playing a team, that's trying to be more physical than you, and I thought that we handled it right in the second half as far as being the more physical team. And credit to even the guys, Jace, Andy, Solo, Pharrell, Hayden had a big one in that game. Like, everybody contributed to rebounding tonight, and so thankful and just more work to do.
Next question on the far left in the back.
Donna Conrad, 15 ABC. For either player, you guys have talked about purging all season. Obviously, an emotional loss here with the double overtime. You just put a lot into it. So how quickly do you have to flush this one, just knowing what's ahead and you can't really hang on to what happened here?
Henry, would you take that one?
I would say it's everybody's background, everybody's character. Everybody on this team, from the coaches to the players, have been through something. We've gone through trials and tribulations ourselves, so it's nothing that we haven't experienced. We're going to get back, we're going to go to sleep, and we're going to be ready to work. And I don't think anybody in that locker room has any doubt or any fear. Nobody is built like that within our locker room, from the coaches to the players to even the managers. And so we're not that excited right now, but we are ready to purge again, and we're ready to go.
We got time for one more question for either of the student athletes. Anyone? All right, we'll excuse the student athletes. You can return to the locker room. Thank you. And we're going to go to questions for Coach Williams. So if you'll raise your hand, we'll get one of the floor mics to you. Let's start in the second row on the end.
Olin Buchanan, TexAgs. Buzz, I have to ask you about the timeout. Actually, 2 points. First of all, what you saw, what was the thinking there, and then secondly, what were y'all trying to do on the inbounds player? Why did you think that would work?
Talking about in overtime?
I'm talking about after the first overtime. I had a 4-point lead. Wade hit a 3-pointer, but it was taken off by the.
Yeah, that was in the second overtime.
It was the
I'm not sure. That's what I was asking. I just thought it was scrambled, 2-possession game. We had possession. I'm pretty confident, Olin, that we had 2 timeouts. We had gotten, I believe, 2 scrambled offensive rebounds. Both shot attempts were just okay. I felt comfortable with 2 timeouts and short clock. I understand 4 made the shot. I apologized. But I still agree with the premise of 2-possession game. If you score, that turns into a 3-possession game. And with 2 timeouts, I was okay with that after what had transpired that possession.
Okay, next question on front row.
Travis Brown, KBTX. Late in the second overtime, Zurich with the 3. Do you like that shot there, or with the success y'all had getting to the free throw line? Would you like to have seen him drive in on that?
Yeah, delicate balance, but probably categorically overall, I wish we would have got to the paint a little bit more. I know our free throw attempts are okay in the second half and in overtimes, not in the first half. Both teams got to the bonus probably a little early in the second half. Some of that special stuff, Travis, that we were doing that created some of those fouls is new. I thought we executed it pretty well. And we were somewhat manipulating the pieces and some of that stuff we were doing in the full court. So not a problem with Zoo shooting a 3 or 4 or even CJ's 3s. But anytime score momentum, if we're down and we can stop the clock, we would like to.
It's kind of a new rep with these guys on going home this early. Have you kind of wrapped your mind around how that looks in the days moving forward?
Yeah, I try to handle the emotion of it the right way. I think anytime you play a game that's a 1-possession game for 50 minutes, there's a lot of exhaustion, not just physically but mentally. And then you're always, I don't, but a lot of our staff is trying to figure out the logistics. And so because I don't have all the information, we'll try to figure out how to handle the weekend the appropriate way. And then based on what happens on Sunday, we'll decide how to handle the week, whether we play Thursday or Friday. Do we travel Tuesday? Do we travel Wednesday? So I don't think that for me, post-game, after all that transpired over the last 3.5 hours, it was the appropriate time to answer it.
Next question, front row on the right, and then we'll come back and get y'all on the left side.
Tony Catalina, Austin American Statesman. Obviously, Coach, I know you're big into the feeling around your guys and just understanding how they feel in each match and each game. Obviously, you didn't probably learn anything new about them you didn't already know, but what do you say about their effort today, despite all of the circumstances that come with you guys this season?
Yeah, I believe love wins, and it may not win on the scoreboard, but when you allow love to control your heart, then there's no anxiousness. And when there's no anxiousness, typically speaking, your best comes out. And I thought a lot of our guys did a lot of really good things. And a credit to Texas, their players, their coaches, they did a lot of great things. And I think in the month of March, regardless of the seed, regardless of the opponent, not just in the SEC tournament, but wherever we are next week, I think that's why it's called madness. And so I think handling all that comes with it, it's never going to go perfect. And you don't want to be exclusively outcome-based. There will be some lessons that we can learn. I didn't think that we played to our recipe quite as exact as you have to in the first half. I think we had 3 offensive rebounds, which was 14% offensive rebounding percentage. Was that because our guys weren't doing a great job or playing hard? No. Was that because too many of our shots were what we would deem unpredictable? Yes. I think we only shot 27 balls, which is a high number in the first half. They shot 35 balls. That's too high of a number. And so our offense needs to help our defense. And when we're not controlling the glass at the rate that we have become accustomed to, both things are going to suffer. We're not going to collect offensive rebounds. We're not going to collect free throw attempts. We're not going to get our defense set. And now we're kind of shaving both sides of what's important to us in our recipe. Similar to what happened in Baton Rouge on Saturday. I thought in the second half, in our last regular season game, we were tremendous. We finished the game with a 39% offensive rebound percentage and 80% defensive rebound percentage. Okay, now we have a chance. And so now we make more free throws. Now we shoot more balls. Now we win time of possession, even though that's not a basketball stat. It is within the metrics that we do. And so now we shorten the game, and that plays to our advantage. It at least bends it our way. And credit to Texas, credit to their talent, credit to their coaches. But we also know our recipe. And so our knowledge is important, but our execution of that knowledge, when you get to post-spring break, you have to bake the cake a little better.
Okay, far left question.
Donna Conrad, 15 ABC. Coach, just aside from them fouling out, how promising did you feel that Andy and Manny's performances were tonight, especially headed into next week?
Yeah, I think Andy's been playing probably as efficient and as effective as he has in his entire career. And some of I think he was averaging 5.8 points in conference play, 5.9 rebounds in conference play. I don't know that shows his impact. I think when you look at some of the analytics that are involved, not the Van Alstyne plus minus, but when you look at some of the things that are happening, our team functions a lot better on both ends of the floor. And I also think that Solo has that same impact defensively. And for most of the month of February, Gochi had that same impact offensively. I thought Mo had a really good vibe in what he was doing. I don't think he was trying to do too much. It looks prettier when the shots go in. He was very efficient. I think when we got down towards the end, some of our choices were eliminated because I thought collectively, particularly in the first half, we fouled more than we typically do. I understand it was a 50-minute game, but we fouled 25 times, and that, again, that's not specific to they're difficult to defend, particularly one-on-one. But the clock is stopping for them, not for us. And too often times in the first half and then too early in the second half, I think we had 6 fouls really early in the second half, and we had only collected 3. And that was one of the priorities today. We have to defend without fouling, and we have to play to get fouled. And we didn't do that maybe in all of the minutes that we should have.
Okay, let's go to the far back, and then we'll
They keep cutting you, Pete. They don't know who you are.
We're getting there.
No, it's
Go to the
okay.
far-
He can go last.
Go to the back, and then we'll come down to Pete.
Tyler Shaw with KBTX. Andy was saying how difficult it was for him because the energy he likes to bring on the court and not being able to be on the court there at the end. But with those 3 guys, there on the bench. How do you feel like your guys stepped up in?
Yeah,
in
I
that
kind of
moment?
agree with what Henry said. There was a lot of manipulation in our typical roster management. Again, that's not a justification, nor is it an excuse. I think those 4 forwards in less minutes than normal in a 50-minute game, for them to get 30 rebounds, had a tremendous second half. But what hurt us was those fouls maybe prior to a shot attempt in the first half that prevented us from having the ability to manage it from a roster standpoint in the second half the way that we need to, and into overtime. And I think it's similar to what Olin's question was with the timeouts. When you're playing in these games this far in March, your timeout management is just as important, because a lot of, even with the foul trouble, we're subbing offense for defense, and you want to be able to control the clock a little bit, but you want to have an extra timeout when possible when you can't sub offense for defense. And I thought on Olin's question, similar to what I answered, when we didn't have Andy, who gives us versatility, solo, we can play big wing or forward, however you want to. We vacillate back and forth with Henry at small forward, power forward, or center, however you want to say it. A lot of that was eliminated. And so now as you get into overtime 1, and I believe somebody fouled out in overtime 1, not only for us, but for them. And then when you get into overtime 2, you're trying to hedge every bet that you can and make sure that you hold enough to be able to finish the game. And I thought all of those guys, H, Mo, Jace playing power forward, I thought they did a lot of good things, even in the shot that Travis was talking about, that Zoo shot. Yeah, it's because that action, everybody was in a different spot.
We got 2 more questions, third row in the middle, and then we'll last question right here on the second row.
Buzz, you were obviously part of the Big East.
He didn't introduce himself.
Sorry, Pete Thamel from ESPN.
You did. You mentioned his name already.
So did you. But the rule, I know all these people.
You were in the Big East in 2011 when they got 11 bids in. Texas's win tonight opens up a more realistic possibility for 14 teams from the SEC to come in. I'm just wondering, are you appreciative of being part of something historic when you're in it?
I think the answer, Pete, is only because of 2011. Do I have some level? I think that was my 4th year as a head coach. This is my 18th year as a head coach. I knew you back then. I would say at that time, what the Big East was, it was the best league in the country. That was before all of the analytics have taken over. I think during my time in the ACC, it became the best league in the country. I do not think that when I came to the SEC would I say it was the best league. I think what happened in non-conference obviously contributed to the narrative. But I also think, and I mentioned this post-game on somebody, or maybe in media availability, we had played 17 conference games, and at that time we were 10-7. We were going to LSU to have a road winning record if we won. And the differential in points per game and points allowed for us at that time was 1.2. And I think that so that led me to look at that for every team. And it doesn't apply to every team. I think there is maybe a couple of outliers just because of style of play and on either end. But I do think what's transpiring is historic. And I don't think that when you're living in it, you're clapping as a fan or as a media member going, this is really cool. I think you're trying to figure out how to not suffocate yourself from the burden that you feel that this possession can move the needle. And I think that I've seen so much growth. Even I know these guys they represent us in such a perfect way in their words, but when you live in it, I have found that the guys that we're coaching are much more receptive to the lessons because they realize that what we're trying to explain, that could be the difference in the game. Because you're playing through 17 games, it's going to be a 1-point game. And I think that tonight would be our we've played 26 quad 1 or quad 2 games as of now. And I think that was either our 13th or 14th game decided by 2 possessions or less.
Last question right here on the second row.
I think I'm going to be a blogger. This is Buzz, and I work for BuzzWilliams.com.
Doesn't pay as well.
That's okay.
Coach, what did you think of the A&M kind of students and the fans that traveled, and how did that play into the emotions of an SEC tournament game against Texas?
Sorry for interrupting, Ian. You need to meet Pete when this is over. I could feel it. And, kind of not having the normal warm-up kind of changes what we do pregame. And kind of once the starting announcements or the starters are mentioned, I see my wife, and then I kind of just lock in. But I could kind of feel the energy from the students. I love having the band just because I'm old. I think that adds to the collegiate environment. And I also think the old adults that were here to support us, I thought they were pretty excited too, or just from the feel of it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.